Hi guys, this is Hirosaki. This story is all about what if Naruto was part of the Avengers. Naruto left the elemental nations and wound up in a world where flying metal man, magic, and gods exist. Before we start, kindly like and subscribe to this channel, and look over the description box for the author of this amazing storyline. Welcome aboard. Chapter 63, One Problematic Wedding. Stark Mansion, Long Island, New York. December 16, 2009, 1900 H local. I think the tie doesn't match the suit, Tony said nervously as he was fixing up his tie. It's a black tie with a black suit. There's nothing better that could match that, Rhodey retorted while trying to keep his calm. Maybe a gray tie would be better. Give it a bit of variety, Tony replied. Or maybe something more colorful. A rainbow tie, perhaps. Just to give some color, he added while still fixing up his tie. If someone was observing the pair, they would most likely see Rhodey's eyebrow twitching. I should probably change my shoes too. This statement finally snapped Rhodey's patience. He grabbed hold of Tony's shoulders and shook him a bit. Tony, your tie is fine. Your shoes are fine. Just settle down, Rhodey shouted before taking a deep breath to calm down. Everything's fine. We checked, double-checked, and triple-checked. Nothing will happen. Okay? Tony stared at Rhodey weirdly for a few moments before his expression turned more contemplative. You realize that you just jinxed the whole thing, right? Tony said seriously, causing Rhodey's face to scrunch up. Jinxes aren't real. I have a dimensional hopping demigod as one of my groomsmen. I think jinxes are a lot more believable, Tony countered matter-of-factly. A few weeks ago, Naruto decided to come clean to both of Tony's friends about who he really was. He felt that he trusted them enough for them to learn more about him. To say the duo was surprised was an understatement. Touché. Tony visibly got a lot calmer as he and Rhodey conversed. They decided to just pour a finger of bourbon for each of them, while waiting for someone to call them. I never imagined you getting married, or at least getting married before me, Rhodey let out with a small chuckle. I'm not that bad. One of your favorite quotes in college was the more, the merrier, and that only applies to chicks, Rhodey countered. Tony had the audacity to act offended. I was just doing my gentlemanly duty. Who knows what would have happened if I just left them on their own? Tony replied jokingly, causing the pair to release a series of laughs. As their laughs died down, Rhodey decided to tackle the one duty that the best man has. Tony, Rhodey called out, causing Tony to turn towards him. Last chance to back out, man. You can still push this back or cancel it altogether. Pepper would understand if you got cold feet. To be completely honest, Rhodey would hate for Tony to suddenly have cold feet. Aside from the commotion that it would cause, he was not looking forward to Pepper's reaction. She would completely understand Tony's position, but it would definitely affect her on some level. Some women are going to rage when they hear that their fiancé was getting cold feet, but Pepper is too classy for that. Tony got a contemplative look on his face. He would never burn his chance to marry Pepper right here and now, but you could forgive the guy for thinking deeply about taking one of the most significant steps in his life. Even now, he couldn't believe how much he loves Pepper. He would never get caught getting lovey-dovey in public since he still had an image to maintain. You know, I'm just going to go through with it. The wedding costs too much to back out now, Tony replied sarcastically. Somebody knocked on the door a few seconds after it. Doors open. Happy peeked inside the room and looked at the duo sitting on the couch. He was wearing a light gray suit, which was the dress code decided by Tony and Pepper. They decided on a simple theme, black and white. The bride would obviously wear a white gown. The maid of honor would be wearing an ivory-colored dress while the bridesmaids would be wearing off-white, all of them made by Rene Strauss. Tony swore that there was no difference in those colors. The groom would be wearing a black suit while the best man and groomsman would be wearing gray suits, with the best man wearing a darker color. The suits were designed by Giorgio Armani. 10 minutes. Happy informed them. Great, I'm getting tired of waiting, Tony said before standing up and heading straight to the door. Rhodey and Happy walked beside him towards the wedding proper, which was in the vast area behind the mansion. Tony had rarely used the mansion ever since his parents died, but it seems fitting to be in this place when his life's direction changes again. Besides, with his decision to do the wedding on the day of his parents' death, doing the wedding at the mansion seemed like a no-brainer. Did we encounter any problems? Tony asked, making sure he could fix anything unforeseen while he still could. Happy grimaced when he heard the question which Tony saw. Come on, Happy. Spit it out. Ugh. Where to start? Happy let out, which was never a good sign. The caterer got stuck in traffic. The flowers wilted along the way. The lights somehow short-circuited. You know the usual. He drawled on, trying to play down the gravity of the situation. Tony stopped in the middle of the hallway and stared at Happy dumbfoundedly. Why the hell are we still going through with this then? Tony asked, getting a lot more serious. Well, Naruto came through. Happy answered. It was a lot harder to hide him doing stuff though. Tony released a sigh of relief when he heard Happy's answer. So, what did he do? Naruto started by doing that cloning thing and changing into a lot of different guys. Still weirds me out every time I see it. Happy started. He took over the 3 kitchens and started cooking a bunch of stuff. Naruto didn't even use the ingredients in the kitchen. He just kept pulling stuff out of nowhere. At least the theme became around the world cuisine, so we got that going for us. Damn. Tony commented, visibly impressed. How long did cook, and how much did he prepare? 2 hours and more than 10 times the original amount. Happy replied. I have no idea how Naruto cooked all of it since a lot of those foods take a long time to cook. He even made some meals that take a whole day to prepare. What the hell? Rhodey exclaimed. Never mind that for now. How'd he fix the plant and light problem? Naruto went to the back garden and created a bunch of flowers. The plants just sprouted from the ground. Happy explained. He still couldn't believe that Naruto did it even though he was there. As for the lights, he pulled out some glass balls that emit omnidirectional light and float. Tony immediately got interested in the lights that Naruto created. It sounded like the perfect lighting device, especially for decoration and search and rescue missions. Did he say how he made it? Tony asked. Something about seals and chakra battery. I have no idea how he did it. Happy said honestly. The trio finally reached the wedding proper. Tony and Rhodey were impressed by the current setup. The wedding planner only helped arrange the wedding and coordinate all the different things needed, but the planner herself was not at the wedding. Tony and Pepper decided to have a small wedding. Like 20 people only, including the judge officiating. Tony basically said fuck it and didn't invite anyone except for close friends and family. Tony will probably host a public event in the future, but for now, this wedding is just theirs. The trio could see that everyone was already at their seats. On the right were Tony's friends and family. His only representative for the family side was Morgan. Pepper's friends and family were on the left side. Her father, mother, and 2 sisters came. Mr. Jonathan Potts was a retired federal judge from Virginia. He fully expected Pepper to be a lawyer, so he was shocked when she decided to enter business school. He was Tony's #1 critique due to Tony's previous lifestyle, but it all turned around after Morgan was born. It was almost the same narrative for Mrs. Veronica Potts, who was a chief of medicine. Tony looked around a bit more before walking towards Pepper's parents while greeting their guests on the way there. He shook Jonathan's hand and gave Veronica a peck on the cheek. "Did I miss anything?" Tony asked like his usual self but a bit more respectful. He really didn't want to piss off his not-so-future father-in-law. "Not much," Jonathan replied with a shrug. "Though one of your groomsmen was still fixing some stuff until a few minutes ago." "Which one and what did he do?" "The tall blonde one," Jonathan answered. "He carried in those decorative Corinthian pillars and ark." Tony turned his head toward the podium and saw the white pillars and the ark Veronica was talking about. He almost choked when he saw what those pillars were. A few years back, Tony decided to donate a few $1 million to the Greek government because he watched Hercules while drunk. As a show of gratitude, the Greeks gave him a few pieces of stuff, like statues, and a whole facade of a decrepit temple. He had no idea where to put it, so he placed it in the basement storage. Basically, Naruto carried some 4-ton pillars in front of everyone, and no one questioned it. He could even see the posts embedded on the ground. Why the hell would Naruto expose himself like that? "You okay, honey?" Veronica asked in a concerned tone. The question snapped Tony out of his mini panic. He shook his head a bit and recentered himself. Yeah. Just surprised by how good it looks." Tony lied. It looks like he didn't lie smoothly enough since Jonathan was looking at him weirdly. Good thing he was saved by Happy approaching the trio. "Mr. Potts, can you proceed to the staging area? We are 5 minutes away," Happy said. Jonathan nodded and bade them goodbye before walking to the back. Tony decided to go to his position. A few moments later, Rhodey, Happy, and Naruto arrived. Classical music started playing on the speakers. Tony and Pepper decided to just let Jarvis play the music through the speakers accompanied by a holographic projection of a band or a symphony at the side. The holographic band was showing a symphony playing canon in D. "It's showtime," Tony said to no one in particular. The wedding procession started their march. Morgan was the first in the line as the flower girl, wearing a beautiful white dress. He couldn't help but smile when he saw his daughter eagerly walking down the red carpet. Behind Morgan was a robot that was basically only an arm on tracks, carrying a pillow with the rings. This was, of course, Dummy, the first robot Tony ever built. The buggy robot was made back in the 80s. He upgraded it throughout the years, but being problematic was one of its charms. Dummy was followed by the bridesmaids, then the maid of honor. That was when Tony saw his fiery angel on Earth. Pepper walked down the aisle, accompanied by her father. The pure white lace dress perfectly complemented her milky white skin. The inlaid micro diamonds refracted the light from the glow balls, making the dress shine like stars. She decided to tie her hair up while letting 2 strands frame her face. Tony stared at Pepper slack-jawed and wide-eyed. Good thing there were only a few guests, or he would be teased for quite a while. That is if he cared about how he looked right now. Rhodey definitely took his job as the best man seriously since he nudged Tony to bring him back. For her part, Pepper had to stifle a giggle and feel flattered seeing Tony gape at her like that. Some might ask why she wasn't feeling emotional or overwhelmed at her wedding. To that, she says, why the hell not? There were only 2 gears available if you were doing anything with him, and that's either excitement or contentment. She only felt bliss right now. Like the universe just wanted her to be there no matter what. If she had any idea about the problems that had happened, she would think otherwise. Jonathan and Pepper finally reached the podium and Tony felt it isn't soon enough. Jonathan gave Pepper a peck on the cheek before giving Tony a loaded look. Tony gulped when he saw Jonathan's silent warning. Pepper opted out of using a veil, so Tony could see Pepper giving him a beautiful smile. "How you doin'?" Tony asked, channeling his inner Joey Tribbiani. "I'm already at the altar." no need to pick me up. Pepper countered with a raised eyebrow. Nothing wrong with making sure that I can lock it down. Tony's retort caused Pepper to giggle. Anyway, let's get this wedding started. 7 years. You have been with me for 7 years, and you still decided to marry me. I'm not saying I'm not a catch, 'cause I'm definitely am. I'm just saying you would have to be a little crazy after seeing what I was like before, and for that, I can't ever be more thankful. You somehow changed my life, and I didn't know it was happening until I was in, hook, line, and sinker. Tony started his vows. He decided to just wing it and talk about what came to his mind. I promised to be less of a headache. I promised to spend less time in my workshop. He added jokingly before being a bit more serious. I will always come home to you and Morgan. I will always place our family as my #1 priority until the end of the line. I thought being your assistant for years was exciting, but being your girlfriend definitely took the cake. Never in a million years did I imagine that I would be marrying an immature, hyperactive, brilliant, driven. Pepper was interrupted by Naruto. Don't forget Filthy Rich. Naruto's comment caused a round of laughs from everyone. Yes, Rich. Pepper agreed half-jokingly. Sure, you were a nightmare, but you proved to me, to everyone, that Tony Stark has a heart. She added, referencing her gift to Tony when he first changed his arc reactor. I promise to always support you even if I will worry about you. I promise to reel you back in when you bite off more than you can chew. I will never let you feel alone ever again. Do you, Anthony Edward Stark, take Virginia Potts to be your wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death do you part? The judge asked Tony. I do. Tony answered without any hint of sarcasm. Do you, Virginia Potts, take Anthony Edward Stark to be your husband, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death do you part? The judge asked Pepper this time. Pepper didn't get to finish her answer because Naruto dove for the couple. Just in time too, since the pillar right behind Pepper's head suddenly exploded. Chaos ensued, everyone scrambled to get out of the area. Rhodey and Happy quickly moved the people inside the mansion after they confirmed that Tony, Pepper, and Naruto were okay. You should suit up, Tony. We got company. Naruto suggested, but Tony and Pepper were still in some kind of shock. Why are they trying to kill her? Not me? Tony murmured to no one in particular. They are not trying to kill her. The shot was a little off, deliberately missing her by an inch or two. Naruto answered while pulling Tony and Pepper behind the pillars. Naruto's answer somehow snapped both of them out of their shock. Do you know anything about this? Tony asked Naruto, hoping someone knows about it. Not really, but I have a guess. I'll tell you when I have something concrete. Naruto answered. That was when they heard an explosion at the front of the house. Go suit up, Tony. I'll protect Pepper here and everyone inside. I'll take them to the basement. Tony nodded before starting to head off, but he felt someone grabbing a hold of his wrists. He turned around and saw it was Pepper. I do. Pepper said. What? Tony let out, genuinely confused. I'm saying I do. So, we're married now. Pepper continued. And since I'm your wife, I get to order you around. She added. I'm telling you to kick the asses of the assholes who ruined our wedding, but make sure you come back safe. Tony flashed a smile and nodded before going for his suit. Pepper couldn't do anything else but stare at Tony's retreating back. She only stopped when Naruto started leading her back inside the house. Damn, Pepper. Not even 10 seconds into your marriage, and you already have Tony by the balls. Naruto commented, genuinely amused. Chapter 64, Miscommunication Fuck-Up. Hydra Forward Base, Long Island, New York. December 16, 2009, 2100 H local. Hydra had been in a steep decline these past few years ever since the goddamn Ninetales decided to fuck everything up. They had to unload most of their assets and burn a lot of bridges just to keep themselves afloat. They also had to go deeper underground than ever before, even deeper than when Captain America defeated the Red Skull. Communications between cells dropped by 99%, while contacts within a division dropped by 90%. They had to scrap or halt a bunch of their projects. Overall, the Ninetales alone pushed back their plans by at least 5 years. The lack of communication was the number one reason why Pierce had no idea that there was an operation going on that had the probability of revealing Hydra even if it was a success. To be fair, there was the possibility of him not knowing of the operation even if Hydra was working at 100%. The mission was headed by a different cell that operates a separate, underground science and weapons research division under Wolfgang von Strucker. He wouldn't mind the mission as much before, but Hydra was in a precarious situation. Pierce dropped everything the moment he heard that the Winter Soldier was thawed out. He tracked down the defrost order to Strucker, as well as the mission request. Sergeant James Buchanan Barnes, aka the Winter Soldier, was their oldest and most effective asset. The pseudo-super soldier had accomplished hundreds of missions over his 50-year tenure, and had a success rate of just over 90%. Naturally, this high-profile assets control was given to Pierce, one of the 3 leaders of Hydra. Before the arrival of the Ninetales, every request for the Winter Soldier's use needed to be approved by him. But with the appearance of the Ninetales, contact between the leaders was kept to a minimum. That's why each cell leader could thaw out the Winter Soldier as long as they completed the checklist. He really should rethink that weak-ass requirement. Pierce got out of his car after his security detail opened the door once they checked the surroundings. His security detail was made up of a SHIELD reserve strike team. He made sure that most of the strike team, which he suggested the creation of, was made up of loyal Hydra agents. He only needed to maneuver some pieces and change the commander of the strike team to a Hydra agent, somebody like Brock Rumlow. Too bad, Rumlow was still in the military to pad up his profile. Pierce walked inside an unassuming commercial building and headed straight to the top floor while giving the receptionist a look before riding the elevator. The receptionist was obviously a Hydra agent. When he got on the top floor, he went inside the janitor's closet at the end of the hall, where he could access a secret elevator that would bring him down under the basement where all New York operations were monitored. They had already abandoned this base due to a decrease in the number of missions done in New York, but it looked like Strucker saw fit to reopen the site. As soon as Pierce got out of the elevator, he saw a setup similar to the NASA Command Center, although a lot less impressive. 25 operators were monitoring each member of the attack team, including the Winter Soldier. He looked around the room to look for the man in charge of the stupid operation, but he turned towards one of his security when he didn't see him. "Ask around for Strucker. I want to talk to him," Pierce ordered. The security nodded and quickly went to follow the command. Pierce went down towards the command floor, leading his security detail near the entrance, and looked for the operator that was monitoring Sergeant Barnes' vitals and head-mounted camera. The feed was showing the Winter Soldier walking up a hill through some light vegetation. He couldn't see Barnes' current loadout, but he assumed that it was a sniper rifle, and an assault rifle, probably an AWM, and an SA-80, just basing it on the mission parameters. "Anything to report?" Pierce asked the operator. "Nothing, sir. Everything is going as planned." The operator answered respectfully. Pierce nodded and looked around at the other monitors to check on what was happening. He focused on 3 monitors in particular, the ones where it was showing the agents rigging what he assumed was a car bomb. As Pierce was looking at the feeds, Strucker approached him. Strucker didn't greet him since convention dictates that Pierce needed to recognize Strucker's presence. After a few seconds of tense silence, Pierce started talking. "What the hell are you thinking?" Pierce asked, his irritation evident in his tone. Strucker just ignored his superior's displeasure and took a moment to answer. He already formulated his argument the instant he was notified about Pierce's arrival. Hydra is in decline. Some might think that it's just a temporary setback, but we both know that we will not survive long like this. A Hydra might survive cutting its head off and come out of it stronger, but what would happen if it starved to death? No cutting of the head there. Strucker answered. Yes, we are in decline. Pierce agreed. But what does it have to do with the mission? Power. It's always power. Isn't that the ultimate goal? Strucker replied. We want the power to rule the world. To make it better, one way or another, and for that, we need power. However, ever since that damn fox showed up, we lost much of our power. We have already started losing our hold on the underworld. Our reputation is in tatters. We are getting mocked in the shadows. He added. We need Stark's armor to force our influence back. You know that we are already in the process of acquiring it. Pierce countered, referring to the Senate committee, talking about confiscating the suit for the U.S. government. Of course, the tech would get lost in the mix, and they would get their hands on it. The committee was headed by Senator Gabriel Stern, one of their members that managed to infiltrate higher in the government. Either way, it's your job to make something like that. Who says we don't have the prototype? Strucker retorted, sounding proud. It was only 2 months ago when we upgraded Sergeant Barnes' prosthetic, so we are certain that we can build at least some parts of the extremities. He explained. The problem is that we have no idea how to miniaturize the actuators and hydraulics enough to allow someone inside. It's more like a robot at this point. Aside from that, we have no idea how to produce enough power to power everything. Everything. Even Sergeant Barnes' prosthetic can only last for half an hour of heavy use before it needs to recharge, and the arm has a lot less power requirement compared to a whole suit of armor. That still doesn't answer the question of why did you order the Winter Soldier to kidnap Virginia Potts? We don't need the attention right now. If the original plan goes off without a hitch, we will have the armor by next year. Pierce said, his tone heating up. We only get it if we succeed. If it fails, Stark will only solidify his ownership of the suit, and we can't make any plays so soon after the hearing since it could directly lead back to us. Strucker replied, keeping his calm. But if my plan succeeds, we can have the suit now, and we won't have to use what little political clout we have left to get the suit from the military. If it fails, we still have your plan to get it by next year. As for why do it at their wedding? It's simple really, they dropped their security at the house down to a minimum. Strucker reasoned. Of course, there's a chance that it could reveal us, but it's a risk we have to take. Pierce stared at Strucker. His mind ran 1,000 miles a second, assessing the situation while taking into account what Strucker just said. After a few moments, Pierce seemingly decided on something. Let's see what happens. Pierce stated ominously. For now, give me a rundown of what they're going to do. As you know, Stark and Potts are having their wedding today. Strucker said while ignoring Pierce's subtle threat. Sergeant Barnes is going to fire a live round during their wedding, which should be happening in the backyard. This should cause everyone to panic and run towards the front gate. A 24-man attack team will get inside the mansion grounds by ramming the gate with a car bomb. This team will act as a diversion for Iron Man. They are all equipped with an EMP grenade that should theoretically slow him down, if not wholly stopping him. It doesn't matter if it works or not since they only need to hold Stark up front while Sergeant Barnes extracts his wife-to-be. It's game over from there. Pierce walked back towards the operator monitoring the Winter Soldier, with Strucker following not far behind. It looked like Barnes had already found his sniper nest, since he was already looking down the scope. It was a shame that they hadn't implanted the Winter Soldier with their experimental cybernetic eye with a camera feed. They still couldn't figure out how to increase the battery life, but it was good enough to enhance the user's ocular abilities for at least 3 hours. They could also see what he sees, which was definitely a plus. It looks like they already started. When is he going to take the shot? Pierce asked. I don't know. Strucker answered nonchalantly. I just ordered him to cause a commotion that will push them towards the front. It's his judgment when he starts. Pierce nodded and just stared back at the monitor. It took a few minutes before the Winter Soldier loaded around. It looks like he's about to start. Pierce let out. A few seconds later, the Winter Soldier took his shot, but they saw an unexpected thing. They couldn't see it clearly due to the distance, but they saw one of the groomsmen looking towards Barnes, and then diving for the couple. This, of course, surprised the pair since Barnes was a good 1.5 kilometers away. There's an enhanced with him. Pierce started his observation before turning towards Strucker. Did you know about it? No. Strucker admitted while assessing the current situation. The plan hinges on Tony Stark getting distracted by the diversion team while Barnes took Virginia Potts. Of course, there was an order to take the suit Stark would use if possible. However, with an enhanced that has heightened senses, and with Stark, the plan might just fail. But we still have the Winter Soldier that can deal with him. What can enhanced senses do to a super soldier? Pierce stared at Strucker incredulously. Enhanced senses? That's more than enhanced senses. Pierce countered. The guy has more than enhanced senses. He also has increased speed and reaction time if he was able to move Potts away. You better hope this plan of yours doesn't get tracked to us. He added, unknowingly, that a certain Jinchuriki had already figured out that it was them who sent the Winter Soldier. Stark Mansion, Long Island, New York. December 16, 2009, 21:45 H local. Every one of the guests was currently in the wine cellar in the basement. The basement had 2 exits and both them were on the same side of the room, so Naruto, Rhodey, and Happy could easily guard the place. In case the assholes outside managed to work their way into the room, they could still move to the other exit as Naruto would hold back the enemies while not revealing anything special. Tony would be the one dealing with the assault team. Naruto could see the EMP grenades using his Sharingan and smirked. Hydra really underestimated Tony's obsessive nature to fix any problem that he had with his tech. One of the first things Tony added to his suit was EMP shields. Naruto looked around the room and approved of the situation. Since every one of their guests was family and close friends, nobody was getting hysterical and panicking. Afraid? Sure. Who wouldn't in this situation? But they believed that Tony could handle the guys outside while Rhodey and Happy could protect them. Tony will be all right. Those guys are easy pickings compared to what he had already been through. Naruto told Pepper when he saw her worrying about Tony. She was holding on to Morgan while sitting on a chair. Besides, he knew what was at stake if he failed. He will not back down even against a god. That's what I'm afraid of. Pepper confessed in a whisper while brushing Morgan's hair. Tony forgets his limits sometimes and bites off more than he can chew. I can say for sure that Tony will not die today. Those guys outside aren't coming for him. Naruto replied before staring straight into Pepper's eyes. They are coming for you. Jonathan, Victoria, Rhodey, and Happy heard Naruto's assertion while Morgan just ignored it and just leaned into Pepper. Naruto discreetly activated a surveillance disruption seal that would prevent anyone else from listening in on their conversation. It made it look like they were just talking silently or anything inconsequential to anyone outside, depending on the receiver. What do you mean they are coming for my daughter? Who are you anyway? Jonathan asked. He knew that the guy was close to Tony since he was one of his groomsmen, but Jonathan had no other details. Me? I'm Nathan Umber, Tony's intern/boarder and Morgan's bodyguard. Naruto introduced himself. He, of course, used his alias. Anyway, there's a guy working his way to the mansion, and I'm fairly certain they are going for Pepper or Morgan to use them as leverage. Rhodey got a dangerous glint in his eyes and started walking towards the exit. What are you doing? Going after the son of a gun, before he arrives. Rhodey replied, amending his statement since Morgan was still there. Ha! Ha! That guy would eat you for breakfast even if you take Happy with you. Naruto answered back. You know the guy? Rhodey asked. Yeah. Met him on a few jobs. Always had him scurrying away, though I never tried to finish him off for reasons I can't divulge. Naruto responded. As for his description, let's just say he's a cyborg, Captain America. Rhodey cursed under his breath. If Naruto was saying that the asshole going after Pepper was someone like Captain America, then it really must be a super soldier, no matter how unlikely it was. Even General Ross's attempt on recreating the super soldier serum ended in failure, and they supposedly had one of the smartest guys of this generation. That also means that there was someone powerful who wanted Tony's suit. Met him on a few jobs? Finish him off? What kind of intern or bodyguard are you? Jonathan said incredulously. The special kind. Naruto replied with a grin. I'm going to meet the guy. You can handle things here, right? Yeah. Rhodey confidently confirmed. They picked up weapons on their way to the basement. Rhodey was now holding onto an AR-15, Happy was using a 12-gauge semi-auto shotgun, while Jonathan had a Beretta handgun. Naruto gave the room one last look to confirm that everyone was fine before walking up the stairs, heading straight to the brainwashed super soldier. He activated his Sharingan to look for his target, but not before looking in on how Tony was doing. It seems like Tony was making short work of the assault team, and they were slowly starting to retreat when the EMP grenades didn't work. Naruto found the Winter Soldier jogging through the backyard while carrying an assault rifle. He decided to just meet him halfway and walk towards the back door, but not before slightly changing his appearance, and the shade of his hair. Just as Naruto had planned, Barnes breached the mansion's door at the same time he arrived. That's not nice. Can't you just knock? Naruto commented jokingly. The Winter Soldier just stared at him while tilting his head. A beat later, he attacked Naruto with a barrage of bullets while walking towards him. Naruto decided to play along since Barnes had a camera strapped to him, so he hid behind a pillar and let him finish the whole clip. After 31 shots were fired, Naruto peeked around the pillar and saw the Winter Soldier rushing him. Barnes pulled his hand back and punched Naruto with his metal arm, fully expecting that it would completely demolish the guy in front of him. That was why he was surprised when Naruto nonchalantly caught the punch that could obliterate a concrete wall. Naruto dropped low to the ground and launched a kick to Barnes' abdomen, only releasing the metal arm when the Winter Soldier started flying through the air back out of the door. Of course, Naruto followed out of the door, expecting an exciting fight ahead. Chapter 65, Need an Arm? Triskelion, Washington, D.C. December 16, 2009, 21:20 local. Fury was trying to make sense of the report that Coulson had just handed over. In particular, this report was focused on one of the projects he had placed outside of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s control, a tandem project for the Avengers Initiative, Project Tahiti, or Terrestrialized Alien Host Integrative Tissue Induction. Fury thought of this project during the time he met Carol Danvers. He had figured out two crucial details in Marvel's notes in the space laboratory. First of all, Kree were a hardy humanoid species capable of at least thrice the regeneration speed as Homo sapiens. Secondly, Kree had a similar DNA makeup to Homo sapiens. His scientist even discovered that the Kree DNA was the source of the anomalous genetic fragments found in human DNA. This basically confirmed that the enigmatic missing link was an alien. But discovering the origin of humankind was not his goal. It was the regenerative properties of the Kree. Fury acquired a heavily damaged Kree body from when Carol fought the accusers. He was able to hide and preserve the body through some of his private contacts. Good thing too, since he now knew that S.H.I.E.L.D. was infected with Hydra. Louis Seaver, or patient number 3, survived the transfusion just like everyone else. And just like everyone else, he has exhibited some problematic mental episodes, presumably caused by the genetic memory of the GH35. Coulson reported. Subjects 1 through 3 are still going into some kind of trance and drawing some kind of symbols. Overall, the symbols they are drawing are slightly different from each other, with some overlaps. Are they able to function properly? Fury asked. Even if the subjects enter a trance from time to time, it was a small price to pay to keep them alive. Only the first few months, after that, they slowly descend into madness, placing more importance into drawing the symbols than taking care of themselves. Subject 1 needs to be put to sleep time to time just so someone can put some nutrients into his body. Coulson answered with a little sadness in his voice. The sight of his fellow agents slowly losing their sense of self makes him question the viability of the project. Fury released a grunt when he heard Coulson's answer. Any suggestions? I can only think of one solution, sir. Coulson said before pulling out another file packet from his arms, opening it, and placing it in front of Fury. That's an experimental procedure created by a doctor/scientist in California. It would completely wipe the memory of the patient after creating a copy of it. This procedure could also place false memories. Do it. Start with subject 1. Try to make it seem like he was just on an extended vacation if you can. Fury ordered, to which Coulson replied in affirmative. Coulson picked up the folders and said his goodbye. But before he could leave, Naruto dropped down from the ceiling. Boss sent me to tell you that Stark's mansion is under attack. The now assumed Naruto clone said calmly. What? Fury exclaimed while suddenly standing up from his chair. Coulson, send a counter-assault team to Stark Mansion now. Don't. The Naruto clone countered. Wait for the report. What do you mean, wait for the report? Fury asked with a raised eyebrow. There's no need to send a team for now since Boss and Tony are handling it. Naruto's clone replied. He wants you to sit and wait for a report of the attack to come in since Boss knows for a fact that you sent a surveillance team to the wedding. Fury quickly understood the reason behind Naruto's request. He knew that there was a team near Stark Mansion, so, at the very least, he should know about it any second now due to the sensitive nature of this event. If, for some reason, he doesn't receive word of this incident, or it takes a long time, then he could get some idea where there are some holdups in the communication ladder. Coulson, prepare a capture and containment crew as well as paramedics. Wait for my call before sending them out. Fury amended his previous order. Coulson nodded before leaving to do what he was ordered. Give me some details. There are 25 men. 24 of them are a standard assault team. Tony should be taking care of them, no problem. Naruto answered. How about the last one? Boss is taking care of him, so no need to worry. The Naruto clone replied. Though if you want to know, the 25th guy is the Winter Soldier. Fuck. So, it really is Hydra, huh? Fury commented. You have any idea about what they want? He asked, reasonably sure of the answer. That's easy. They want Tony's suit. Naruto confirmed Fury's suspicion. They're just going about it in a roundabout manner since it looks like the Winter Soldier's target is Pepper. A hostage? That might just work if you weren't there, of course. Boss is banging his head on the wall since he didn't see this one coming. The clone confessed. Ever since Hydra has gone underground, Boss has pulled back on a lot of their surveillance. Only making sure to check in on them from time to time. I have got a feeling that there will be a lot more jobs in the future. Ha! Rookie move. Boss sent a swarm of clones to look into it. It turns out Hydra's science team sent the crew without notifying the higher-ups. Kind of understandable since communications dropped to a minimum. Naruto let out. One of the higher-ups heard about the mission, though, so one of them is in the control room. Tell me, where's Pierce? Damn it. I should have known. He said he had an emergency a few hours ago and left with a reserve strike team. Fury exclaimed while slowly thinking about how to work to his advantage. Maybe get something from Pierce. Enough about that. We're just waiting for the boss to finish his fight with the soldier. Let's talk about something else. Like maybe Dr. Banner and the ever-stupid General Ross? The clone said with a grin. Don't. Fury promptly replied. He just hired a mercenary to capture Banner. Can you believe it? Trying to capture Banner while the guy is hiding in Rio. He ended with a groan. Have they found him? Not yet from what I can tell. They think he's somewhere in Mexico, which he was a year ago. It's just a matter of time before they find him. You going to send anybody to help the guy? Ross and I had an agreement. S.H.I.E.L.D. will not interfere with the military in this matter as long as they give us constant reports and give us access to Banner after they get him. Mostly to make sure they are not dissecting him or some shit. And here I thought you guys were the ones who wanted to open him up. Naruto clone joked, but it looked like Fury didn't appreciate it judging by his expression. We won't even try to open him up. Even getting some biological samples might be out of the question. Fury replied. First of all, that's not how we do it at S.H.I.E.L.D. Naruto raised an eyebrow at Fury's statement, causing him to amend his statement. We are not supposed to. We normally just tag them and give them a contact. Secondly, Banner might just change during the procedure. So, that's the real reason then. Naruto said while nodding his head sagely. Either way, Ross and I never said that a third party couldn't interfere with their operation. Naruto flashed a mischievous grin. Don't worry, Nicholas. Fury's nose flared when he heard Naruto using his first name. I already have a plan brewing to help the guy in case something happens. I'm even planning on smuggling him back stateside. Please don't. Fury replied, almost pleadingly. I don't want a hulking green monster inside the country. Don't overreact. It's not going to be that bad. Naruto reassured with a wave of his hand. Besides, with how smart Banner is, he would have found a way back into the country if he wanted to, and Ross will be the one to get burned if something happens. He added before he suddenly focused on something. Call Coulson. They are almost done. Fury nodded before picking up his desk phone and dialing a number. You have green light. Stark Mansion, Long Island, New York. December 16, 2009, 2200 H local. Naruto jumped a few feet in front of the downed Winter Soldier, who was struggling to get up. He was looking around the area, and he had a feeling that this fight would be a little surreal due to the still organized and intact wedding venue. He mentally created a list of goals that he wanted to accomplish in this encounter. First, he needed to make sure that Barnes escaped this fight. This was to make sure that Steve and Peggy would be the ones to help the guy. Secondly, the camera just had to go so he could keep Hydra in the dark. The Winter Soldier slowly stood up, the super soldier serum working overtime to heal his injuries. As soon as he got up, he checked his abdomen as well as his arms and legs before glaring at the masked man. Are you ready? Naruto asked with a wide grin under his mask. Sergeant Barnes didn't even try to continue the conversation and just pulled out a knife. The two just stared at each other, waiting for someone to make the first move, but it looked like Naruto's patience ran out first. The blonde ninja decided to take out the camera strapped by the side of his head. He threw a kunai aimed squarely at the forehead of the mechanical armed soldier. Barnes jumped out of the way, but Naruto was already expecting this, and launched a sharp kick aimed towards his head. The soldier got grazed by the side of the head, effectively destroying the camera. Did I break your camera, Sunshine? How about I break you next? Naruto teased with a sadistic grin, but the Winter Soldier remained stoic. Barnes rushed Naruto with the intent of a quick takedown since it was clear that he couldn't win in a prolonged fight. He aimed a stab towards Naruto's temple, but his opponent blocked it, causing him to drop the knife into his other hand and tried to stab again at the abdomen. Naruto anticipated the maneuver and grabbed a hold of the soldier's wrist. Seeing that they were virtually at a standstill, the Winter Soldier jumped and did a double dropkick that impacted Naruto's chest. This effectively created space between the two of them. That's rude. You don't just dropkick a person. Naruto groaned out, faking that he's hurt. It's unfair that you have a pointy thing. I want one too. Wait, I have one. He continued before pulling out a tri-pronged kunai. The Winter Soldier just stared at Naruto disinterestedly. He shifted his knife to his left hand and pulled out his pistol. Naruto flashed a grin at the Winter Soldier's action because it looked like he would now have some semblance of a fight. Barnes decided to make the first move this time. He fired a shot towards Naruto, but it was easily dodged, so he rushed him while firing through half of his clip. Naruto also ran at the Winter Soldier, but he was dodging or deflecting the bullets with his kunai. When they were finally within arm's reach of each other, they crossed blades. Sergeant Barnes had the upper hand though, since he would fire his pistol from time to time. This pushes the tempo of the fight in his favor, but it ended when he ran out of bullets, causing him to toss the gun away and shift the knife back to his right hand. He was using his metal arm to deflect Naruto's kunai, but the plate armor covering his arm was slowly getting stripped off. As for Naruto, he held himself back a lot throughout the fight, though a bit less than normal. It was upgrading from fighting an academy student to a genin, if he was a Kage or even an Otsutsuki. Not much change, but a change nonetheless. Naruto was slowly getting bored of the fight, so he decided to end the battle and give Barnes a reason to retreat. He waited for Barnes to switch his knife to his metal hand again before making his move. When the Winter Soldier tossed his knife to his left hand and did a downward strike, Naruto deflected it with his kunai, so it harmlessly passed just in front of his face. Before Barnes could recover, Naruto did a leg sweep, effectively laying the soldier flat on his back. Naruto quickly grabbed onto the metal wrist while placing a knee onto Barnes' back. With a quick tug and twist, he pulled out the prosthetic arm. It looked like it was pretty painful too, since the usually stoic and silent soldier released a brief scream. He tossed it aside and grabbed a hold of both of Barnes' ankles, and threw him far out of the wedding grounds, effectively giving the guy a reason to escape. He used his Sharingan to look and see what Barnes was going to do. Naruto saw him make a call through his radio. After a few seconds, the Winter Soldier started marching towards the tree line. He created a clone and popped it, informing all of his clones about what had happened. That was too easy. Naruto mused before walking towards the metal arm and picking it up. He then used his Sharingan again to look in on how Tony was doing. It looks like he's also done too, huh? Naruto leisurely walked towards the front lawn, while still carrying the arm. When he reached the front yard, he saw Tony dragging the knocked-out assault team towards the fountain. He was sitting the guys around the fountain after making sure that he tossed their weapons away and destroyed their tech. Need help? Naruto asked, causing Tony to look up towards him. Nah. Tony replied through his suit's speakers. Is everyone okay? Yep. Naruto answered, emphasizing the P, you can leave this to me. Check on Pepper and Morgan. You sure? Yeah. They must be worried about you. You can find them in the wine cellar. Naruto said. Tony nodded before walking back inside the house. You also might want to study this thing. He called out while waving the arm around. What the hell is that? An arm. I know that it's an arm. What are you doing with a metal arm? The guy that missed Pepper earlier had this on him, so I took it off. Might be something that interests you. Tony released an audible groan before taking it from Naruto's hand. It was evident that Tony was a little weirded out due to him carrying the arm as far away from himself as possible. Naruto let out a chuckle seeing the awkward situation. Naruto finished up Tony's job of lining up the soldiers. He made sure that all of them would remain asleep by injecting them all with knockout drugs. He also took out his phone and took a photo of each of the members of the assault team. This could be used later by Fury, just in case this event gets lost in the mix. Even with how high profile this even was supposed to be, Shield/Hydra might just sweep everything under the rug. The blonde ninja also took note of the tech that they had used, giving more focus to the communicators. He pocketed one of the intact ones before destroying the rest. A few minutes later, Rhodey, Happy, Tony, and Pepper, who was now wearing some sweats, walked out of the mansion. The other guests must have stayed inside the house. "Where's the big bad?" Rhodey asked, seeing that there are only 24 guys sat around the fountain. "Got away. Lost his arm though, so that's a plus," Naruto answered with a straight face. He ran back towards the tree line out back. Everyone bought the lie, seeing no reason for Naruto to lie. "What are we going to do with them?" Pepper inquired, giving the unconscious men some scathing look. She was miffed that someone tried to do something on her wedding day. She really didn't want to be one of those girls losing their minds when somebody ruined their wedding, but she could be forgiven after what happened today. "I called Fury to pick these guys up. There should be a team coming anytime now," Naruto replied. Almost 10 minutes later, a caravan of SUVs and vans drove straight into the mansion. Naruto's grin dropped when he saw who was leading the team, Jasper Sitwell. "I'm going inside the mansion," Naruto informed the group, which slightly surprised them. "Whatever happens, don't trust the leader of that group. Call your attorney and your security team. Contact Fury too, just to be sure." The group tensed when they heard Naruto's statement. Tony and Rhodey flexed their hands to prepare for anything that might happen. "Relax. He won't do anything blatant. I just want you guys to be alert." Naruto walked inside the mansion when he saw the group nod in understanding. "Call Jeff and Kane. Tell them to come ASAP. After that, call Fury or Coulson, whoever answers first." Tony ordered Jarvis while still wearing his armor. "Of course, sir," Jarvis replied. Sitwell walked towards the group while eyeing the unconscious men. He was able to legitimately intercept Coulson's order about the fiasco on Stark Mansion. Pierce also gave him the order to retrieve the men and, if not possible, dispose of everyone. He also made a mental note to ask about the blonde masked man that went inside. "I'm Agent Sitwell. Fury sent me to make sure that everything's okay." Sitwell introduced himself. Chapter 66, Coffee Date. New York City, New York. January 30th, 2010, 1500 H local. Natasha and Naruto are currently in a coffee shop a few blocks away from Hammer Industries' main office. For some reason, Justin Hammer decided to actually work and give some instructions to the research division. That's why Natasha and Naruto finally got to officially meet up while she's at work. "So, the asshole introduced himself, then Tony said, 'Sitwell? Do you get sick when you stand up?'" Naruto barely finished telling his story before laughing hard. He, of course, used a version he could use in public. Natasha bowed her head and combed her hair over to hide her embarrassment. Naruto rarely gives a fuck what everyone else thinks of him. Natasha has also developed a thick skin for public opinion, or co-workers' opinion, due to her reputation, but Naruto's full-blown laughter is just a little too much. Everyone inside the cafe is looking at them weirdly. She basically just confirmed how bad it is to bring Naruto in a low-level infiltration mission. "Naruto, honey, calm down," Natasha said while gently rubbing onto Naruto's arm until he settled down. "It's not even that funny, hon. they can't use their normal term endearment due to the unlikely event that Hammer is having her monitored. Hey! It's funny. Especially the face Sitwell did when he heard it. It's like he's constipated or something. Naruto defended himself while simultaneously releasing a snicker. It's really not. Natasha countered while subtly releasing a smile. Anyway, how many creamers you have on your coffee? She asked, referring to agents and private security following them. 5. You know I like it creamy. Naruto answered while wagging his eyebrows. Natasha had to laugh at Naruto's blatant double entendre. Though you should place 3 sugars in your coffee. Why would you ever buy plain black coffee? Natasha raised her eyebrow when he heard Naruto's statement. She knows where the first 2 bugs came from. One is from S.H.I.E.L.D., for her protection, and another is from Hammer, the creepy asshole. Now, who the hell placed the 3rd bug? I like all types of coffee. That's one of the requirements to be a secretary. You have to like all types of coffee. Natasha replied while tapping a code on the table, signaling Naruto to hide their conversation without killing the bugs. And don't diss my coffee preferences. I saw you drinking black coffee too. That's premium roast coffee a la mid. You're supposed to drink it without anything added to it. Naruto answered with an indignant expression. You drank it while eating ramen. Your defense is invalid from the start. Natasha deadpanned. Naruto did a one-handed tiger seal and placed his hand flat on the table. Small black markings rapidly expanded from his hand until the circle markings just went past the couple before disappearing. Weirdly enough, no one except the both of them saw the black markings. Nobody would hear anything important. As far as everyone is concerned, we're just talking about how everything's going with some steamy flirting from time to time. Naruto informed with a wink. You're a man-child. I'm your man-child. Woe is me. Natasha replied, causing both of them to laugh after a moment of silence. Not that I don't love this little outing of ours, but what brought this on? Naruto asked. Can't I just have a coffee date with you, Solence? I would have believed you if we didn't just go to Rio last week. If we didn't know any better, Jess and I would have thought you were gay. Natasha told Naruto with a blank look. I mean, who leaves both of their girlfriends on a private beach, wearing some micro bikinis to check on a lanky nerd on the run? Oh, come on. I already made it up to you, girls. You both were practically limping for 2 days. Naruto replied with almost pleading look. You're never going to let this, are you? Till death do us part. Ugh. Naruto groaned out. You're not even going to ask me about how Banner's doing. Natasha just stared dead into his eyes, which caused him to squirm. Please. All right. Natasha finally relented, deciding that she already let him stew for long enough. What you got on the guy? Nothing pressing on Banner's side, but it looks like Mr. Blue is 3/4 of the way done with his research. Naruto answered. You finally figured out who Mr. Blue is, right? Yeah. We patched into their private network through the good doctor's laptop. We were able to send a tracking worm in their network, and it traced back to Grayburn College to one Dr. Samuel Stearns. Natasha replied. Nice. So, we can expect Banner to work his way to New York in a month or 2. Naruto surmised before frowning. His time frame would be tight as fuck. Ross is already in Panama. He's maybe a month away. Is S.H.I.E.L.D. prepared for a Rio warzone? Don't even joke about that. We can't even intervene if Ross fucked it up. Natasha said with a shake of her head. You know that they are going to fuck it up. For God's sake. They got Emil Blonsky. The guy is more bloodthirsty than I am, and that's saying something. Naruto's statement obviously caused Natasha to have a headache. Let's get off this topic for a while. How's work? I'm trying to get fired. Natasha confessed before smirking. That's why I asked you out today. Maybe Hammer would fire me when he confirms I'm in a relationship with someone. So, I'm the bait? That hurts. Naruto said with a pout. Well, I need to be fired without anything that he can hold over me. If I just fuck things up, Hammer might just use his brain and come after me. Natasha replied nonchalantly. Fury is already hinting on another mission. What the hell? How about Pepper's assistant gig? Naruto exclaimed. Sorry. I think he's going to send Agent 13 or Mockingbird. Natasha answered a little sadly. You know about General Vasily, right? You're going to intern for a pedophile. Come on. Pepper's secretary is a whole lot better. Naruto tried to convince Natasha. I'm not the one who's choosing the missions, Solence. Natasha placated. If it makes you feel any better, you can help me clean up his network after I got the A-OK. Really? Naruto asked with a hopeful look, to which Natasha nodded too. In their 2-year-long relationship, she already mastered how to cheer the demigod ninja up, and it all boils down to mission, assassination/massacre, food, ramen and sex. Since they are already eating and she's still a little weirded out when they have sex in public, so she decided to let him join her mission. Although, she's reasonably sure that he would be ecstatic when he sees her as Pepper's new assistant. It's bizarre how you are able to create sparkles come out of your eyes, and with the sunshine as your background. Natasha commented. Ha! You should have seen what Lee and Guy-sensei can do. Naruto replied with a slight shiver. Do I want to know? Natasha inquired with an incredulous look. No. You really don't. Naruto answered seriously before flashing an eager look. Want to see it? Yeah. Natasha mirrored his smile. Naruto revealed his Shinigami before staring straight into Natasha's eyes. He used Tsukuyomi to create a compilation of Lee and Guy moments and flashing it straight into her brain. He knows that he should not abuse the most powerful eye in existence to show his girlfriend one of the most traumatic things in the multiverse for shits and giggles, but how the hell can he not try to see Nat's reaction to the unblockable genjutsu technique? The Tsukuyomi lasted only a second, but Naruto can clearly see when it stopped just by looking into Natasha's expression. Her face started distorted into a complicated expression. I regret every choice I made that led me to the one point in time. Natasha said, a haunted look. Imagine seeing that in person every time. I'm sorry. It's all right. I had years to get used to it. Naruto replied seriously. The couple stared at each other before they simultaneously started laughing out loud. Naruto moved from his seat in front of Natasha to the empty seat beside her. He then placed his arms around her waist and started snuggling her neck. Natasha leaned into Naruto and started running his hands through his hair. Okay. Not that I don't love you snuggling up to me, but what brought this on? Natasha asked. Can't I just do this because I love you? Naruto countered with his puppy dog eyes. I know you can and you will, but not this sudden. Natasha reasoned. Naruto released a sigh. Well, Hammer is on his way. Around a minute away. Naruto's statement caused Natasha's eyes to widen. I just want to mark what is mine. He bit Nat's pulse point at her neck, drawing a little bit of blood. She involuntarily released a moan. You have no problem with this, right? No. I don't believe I don't. Natasha let out in a sultry voice. Naruto straightened up and started making out with Nat hard, drawing attention from everyone in the cafe. The men are all looking at Naruto with a murderous glare, while the ladies are lightly panting from the softcore action going on in front of them. It's lucky that they sat at the far side of the room, and there are no underage kids in the cafe at the moment. Natasha swung her legs and mounted Naruto before continuing them making out. Their makeout session got so intense that their tails looked away from them. A few minutes later, two massive men in a suit walked into the cafe and looked around. They talked in their mic before a man wearing a gray three-piece pinstripe suit with a god-awful orange tan walked in. This epitome of an egotistical asshole is none other than Justin Hammer, the CEO of Hammer Industries. He's a 5 feet 8 inches, Caucasian man with brown hair and brown eyes. He always carries himself with a particular type of swagger that causes people to either love or hate him instantly, more of a latter. The certified man-child was put on the helm of a tech company just after he got out of high school. Previously known as Hammer Technology, Justice Hammer, Justin's father, created the company with the express purpose of being the rival of Howard Stark. Justin Hammer followed his father's ideologies and repurposed the business to be a weapons manufacturing company and changed the name to Stark Industries. All of this in order to mirror the flourishing Stark Industries. He even managed to reinvent himself to be a carbon copy of Tony Stark himself. Basically, he doesn't have his own image. Hammer Industries is a self-proclaimed rival of Stark Industries. Self-proclaimed since Stark Industries has long surpassed Hammer Industries in all aspects. The small glimmer of hope for Hammer to outdo Stark during the weapon contract suspension fiasco has all but been purged the moment Tony Stark revealed his Iron Man suit. Not to mention the fact that Stark Industries has somehow bounced back, smelling like daisies and roses after they re-upped and cleaned the whole company. They even managed to release an entirely new set of weapon systems that managed to outclass everything that's currently in the market. Justin Hammer can only think of one last thing that might be able to push Hammer Industries back in the spotlight, is his company creating and selling an Iron Man armor of his own. Stark has no intention of letting his suit be used by anyone other than him. A selfish thought Hammer can get behind, but the suit's sheer effectiveness on the battlefield would make any country's mouth water. If only his dumbass research department would be able to create even a working prototype. For God's sake, they almost managed to kill an Air Force pilot during one of their testings. Good thing they managed to sweep everything under the rug. He needs to contact somebody to try and fix the guy, or the pilot might just blow the whistle. His secretary is trying to reach a Dr. Stephen Strange, but the asshole is not answering for some reason. The reason Justin Hammer made an effort to go to the cafe is because of his secretary. He hired the fine piece of ass for one reason and one reason alone, to tap the hell out of that ass until he's tired of it. The fact that Natalie Rushman is a little overqualified for a secretary didn't even cross his mind when he saw her modeling pictures. So, when after almost a year of working his charm on Natalie, and she didn't give him what he wants, he was ready to persuade her even if it was repeatedly hinted that she's in a relationship. When Justin heard that Natalie would go on a coffee date with her mysterious boyfriend, he ordered his men to follow her. He also planted a bug on her just in case. He decided to drop by when his men confirmed that the guy she is with her boyfriend. Justin entered the cafe with his usual confident demeanor. He looked around and saw the familiar redhead practically dry humping a dark-haired guy. He wanted just to pull Natalie off the guy and call his guards to politely escort the man of the premises, but cooler heads prevailed. Ahem. Hammer cleared his throat, but the couple kept on making out. Ahem. He cleared his throat again, and this time they separated. Natasha purposely ignored his boss trying to get their attention, but they can't just tune him out for long. She swung her legs out to get herself of Naruto before sitting back onto her seat before pulling out her compact to clean herself up. She started by wiping off her messed up lipstick and ended with fixing her hair. She purposefully took her time fixing herself up to rile up the asshole. Hey, boss. Didn't see you there. Natasha said, acting surprised. What can I do for you, boss? She asked, completely innocent of what she was doing not 2 minutes ago. Well, I was meeting a client down the block when the guy's here. Hammer said while pointing to his guards. Saw you here. So, I decided to introduce myself. I wouldn't want to be a bad boss, do I? That's sweet of you, boss man. Natasha replied with false sincerity before taking a glance at Naruto, who is silently pointed to his hair. That's when she saw his hair slowly turning black. That's when she understood that he was using an illusion, everyone in the room except for herself the whole time, to hide his identity. Let me introduce you to my fiancé, Nathan Umber. She introduced to Hammer before turning her head back to Naruto. Han, meet my boss, Justin Hammer. Naruto stood up and walked around the table. He decided to show a friendly exterior, while subtly transmitting a minuscule amount of killing intent. The disparity between the information processed by Hammer's conscious and subconscious was more than enough to intimidate the asshole. Hey! It's nice to finally put a face on the name. Naruto greeted. He can see a slight sheen of perspiration forming on Hammer's forehead. Oh. You so Nat has been talking about me, huh? Nothing bad, I hope. Hammer said with a smile, trying to cover his nervousness. Most of it. Naruto replied seriously, but Hammer took it as a joke. Come on, have a seat. Have your grunts order for you. He added before going back to his seat beside Natasha, which was certainly noticed by Hammer. Hammer moved to sit down to the seat where Naruto was previously sitting before calling over one of his guards. Grande, iced, sugar-free, decaf, caramel macchiato with soy milk, extra shot, and cream. Hammer whispered to his guard. Naruto and Natasha heard the order, and they had to force themselves to stop their eyes rolling. So, what do you do for a living? Me, I'm just a humble CEO of Hammer Industries. You know, one of the best military contractors in the world. I mean, I just came from a meeting that would net me several $1 million. Nothing big. He continued with a swagger, hoping to intimidate Naruto and impress Natalie. That's awesome. Naruto exclaimed with faux excitement before getting a more contemplative look. Though I would never personally use Hammer tech. They just jam too much. He added, causing Hammer to grimace. Oh, I forgot to answer your question. I'm in the business of private security and investigations. I just killed 22 guys in the past 3 days. He didn't kill anyone personally, but some of his clones cleaned out some counting houses in Colombia as a job for a captain of local police. Naruto had to contain a smirk when he saw Hammer suddenly pale. Just got back stateside last night. Justin Hammer cleared his throat before gathering himself back. So, you're private military? Hammer asked, trying to get as much detail as he can from the guy that's hindering him from tapping the fine redhead. Though he still can't believe that he's doing this much for a broad he would just throw away. I have an open recruitment in my circuit if you're interested. He might just be able to get rid of the guy by sending him into deep water, and he would be there to comfort his secretary as a good boss would do. Nah, I work alone. Don't want to mess with what's working so far. Naruto replied. Hammer cursed internally that his made-up plan didn't work. His guard arrived and handed over his coffee. He decided to retreat for now and create a more foolproof plan. Though, if that doesn't work, he might just need to let Natalie go. He still has other targets to go through. Anyway, I have to go for now. I still need to work on some stuff. Hammer said before standing up and looked at Natasha. Natalie, you don't need to come in for today and Monday. Have a great long weekend with your fiancé. Nathan, is it? Nice meeting you. He added before promptly leaving. As soon as he got out of the cafe and got inside of his SUV, he ordered one of his men. Look into that Nathan Umber. Find anything you can find and place it on my desk by tomorrow night. Goddamn. He's bigger of a douche than I thought. Naruto commented as soon as Hammer left the cafe. He must have really wanted to score with you if he didn't fire you right then and there. Too bad. He won't be able to get anywhere near me, that slimy jackass. Look at the bright side, I have a long weekend. Natasha ended with a smile. That's certainly nice of him. Naruto replied, mirroring Natasha's smile before looking at the wall clock. Want to wait for Jess to get out and then go to Hawaii? That's it for this reading. Hit like and subscribe for a free ticket pass going to the different worlds of anime fanfictions. Looking forward to having you on board again.